let's look through this. It wasn't published in 2009. The original was published before then. I actually pulled up, let me see. Right here, 1818, The History of the Jews by Hannah Adams. This is when it was originally published, 1818. But let me show you Hannah Adams. This is her. Just so you can see what Hannah Adams looks like. She's not black. She's not a black Hebrew Israelite. She doesn't belong to a camp. And we're going to use Hannah Adams because now we're going to trace some stuff backwards. Real quick, I'll just read this first top part. Not this whole top part, just right here. Hannah Adams was an American author of books on comparative religion and early United States history. She was born in Medfield, Massachusetts, and died in Brookline. Adams was the first woman in the U.S. who worked professionally as a writer. So first professional writer, and she covered comparative religion. So now, this is what Hannah Adams looked like. This is when her book was published, 1818. Now, we're going to read pages 366 through 369, and I'm just going to point out a few things. I'm not going to stay long on this because there's a couple more sources to get through before we wrap this up. Let's see. We'll start here. A late author informs us that a Catholic clergyman who had recently quitted Spain after a residence there of 12 years spontaneously related to him the following circumstances: that the Spaniards universally believe there are among them a great number of concealed Jews, chiefly in the trading classes and some among the clergy, and that the captain of a paquet with whom he was windbound at Corunna informed him he had met with many persons in France, South America, and elsewhere who had freely confessed to him they were Jews, though they had lived long in Spain as Catholics, and that one of these persons had been outwardly a Catholic clergyman and really in orders as such. So there were Jews pretending to be Catholics. Some of y'all have heard of the conversos. So we're gonna keep going into this, and we're gonna see that all this stuff ties together. Even as late as the close of the 18th century, any person believed to be a Jew, whether he had previously appeared as a Catholic or not, would still be seized in Spain if discovered by the Inquisition. So the Inquisition, again, Jews, Muslims, everybody had to convert to Christianity. The following is an extract from the decree of the Spanish government. So this is an extract directly from a decree. The decree itself would be a primary source. This is quoting a primary source, the decree itself. The following is an extract from a decree of the Spanish government promulgated against the Jews, July 22nd, 1800. This is in quotes. His Majesty ordered his ministers to deliver no passports to Jews intending to enter Spain, whatever might be the motive of their journey, and whether they be desirous or not of making any stay in the kingdom. He enjoined the governors of the frontiers to prevent their entrance into the Spanish territories and to expel all who may be discovered in it. This is the 1800s. This is 65 years. This is July 22nd, 1800s. 65 years before slavery ended in the U.S., Jews were banished from Spain. They weren't allowed to enter, and those that were in it were being kicked out of it. So now, for a long time, the laws of this monarchy have forbidden all Jews to attempt a transit or an establishment in the dominions of His Majesty. Remember, the Inquisition is still going on. 65 years before the end of slavery, the Spanish Inquisition is still going on. I've told y'all before that I thought the KKK was an extension of the Spanish Inquisition. It just carried over here into America. The lynchings, the slavery, all that stuff leading up to the KKK was a continuation of the Spanish Inquisition. And now we can see from this document that even 65 years before the end of slavery in America, the Spanish Inquisition was still in full effect. So give me a 1 if you think that it's coincidental that some of the same practices occurring during the Inquisition happened to slaves in America. Or give me 2 if you don't think it's coincidental. 1 if you think it's a coincidence, 2 if you don't think it's a coincidence. The Spanish Inquisition overlaps with the transatlantic slave trade. For those of you who don't have a proper context of history, I'll say it again. The Spanish Inquisition overlaps with the transatlantic slave trade. They were deporting Jews to West Africa during the Inquisition, the Spanish and Portuguese Inquisitions. They were deporting Jews, black Jews, to Africa. I think I just said America, but Africa. And then from there in West Africa, where they deported these Jews, magically we have the transatlantic slave trade occur. And people say, wait, you guys have nothing to do with those Jews that got taken into West Africa. It's just a coincidence. It's a coincidence that they were moving them there on ships and then they moved them somewhere else on ships. Coincidence. All right, so let's see. For a long time, the laws of this monarchy have forbidden all the Jews to attempt a transit for an establishment in the dominions of His Majesty. A late transgression calls for a rigorous enforcement of these laws. The Spanish and Portuguese Jews claim their descent from the tribe of Judah.
During the Spanish Inquisition, black Jews were forced to wear a conical hat called the capirote during auto de fe ceremonies as a sign of complete humiliation. Auto de fe was a public display of extreme torture and ended many times with the burning at the stake of the black Jews, all sponsored by the Pope and the Catholic Church. When the Inquisition was abolished, the capirote was kept as a symbol of punishment and penitence and can be seen today during what they call Holy Week, worn only by special fraternity members in Spain and its former colonies in the Americas. Is it a coincidence that the same capirote was adopted by another Christian group known as the KKK and used to publicly humiliate, torture, and burn at the stake the black Jewish descendants of the same people who were persecuted during the Spanish Inquisition? He that hath an ear to hear, let him hear.